Good morning. Yet another wonderful morning here in the northeastern part of Thailand. As the headline says, Liposomal is today's topic. And it's today's topic because it is bugging me a little bit. Initially, I was very thrilled. Now, I have to say, I'm still very thrilled in many ways, but there is a little bit of a stone or sand in the machinery because I am making my own Liposomal Vitamin C, and I have invested both in an ultrasonic cleaner, and I already have a NutriBullet to blend it in, and I bought my vitamin C, the ascorbate acid, and I bought my sunflower lecithin powder. So I kind of, and I use alcohol, 95% alcohol. So I kind of thought everything was okay, and I followed the recipe that was made, and it tastes not particularly good, and everything that is working usually does not taste very good, so that is comforting. But I had foresight enough to order a small microscope just to see if I could verify how many liposomes that I get out of it. And that was a good decision, because I've been now eating or drinking that liposome for almost a week now, and it's not a particularly tasty thing. Diluted in water, it becomes a little bit better. But I then came across the guru, apparently, in terms of vitamin C, a Dr. MD, Thomas Levy. You should look him up if you want to know more about this topic. I haven't studied his podcast or videos or text that he's been published. I just came across him because somebody said that if I wanted to know more about Liposomal Vitamin C, he was the guy to go to. And so I found a text that he wrote, and he told in that text that it was impossible to make Liposomal Vitamin C at home. Now, it turns out that he's a representative for a company that sells Liposomal Vitamin C, and that's always something you've got to be cautious about. But he does mention in that text that that is the case, and obviously people might misinterpret that, but it doesn't change the fact, he says, you cannot make Liposomal Vitamin C at home. Now, if he had said to me, you can make Liposomal Vitamin C at the same quality level as they can do in the factories, then I wouldn't have hesitated believing him. I wouldn't have spent 5 seconds trying to research that, because they are specializing in this field and they've got all the equipment. They invested in whatever it takes. So they have knowledge and they have education and they have equipment, which obviously, unless you're extremely eccentric and very wealthy, is not what you're going to see in a normal home. So if he had said to me, or said that this is not something you can achieve the same quality as in a factory, I would be all right. But he actually very bluntly states you cannot make Liposomal Vitamin C at home. And that annoyed me, because there's so many videos out there, and I've even found one video, I'll see if I can put a link to that in the description below, of a guy who is doing it with an electron microscope, showing it on a big screen, how the differences is between a good Liposomal and a not good Liposomal product. This was bought product, so it's not himself making it, obviously. But I've seen so many other recipes out there, and they all seem to work, but none of them, just when I come to think of it, none of them actually shows the microscope image. Only this guy, but this guy didn't make it himself. He just tested 2 different products to prove that there are a huge difference between the products. Now, I found that Thomas Levy's got a representative in Thailand, it turns out, somewhere in the middle Thailand. And I just looked at their website. They're selling a 30 gram, I think it's 150 milliliter, which equals to 30 grams of Liposomal Vitamin C, for 1,250 baht. I haven't calculated how much that is in dollars. You got to figure that out. But $1,250, and that is 30 grams. Now I'm taking 12 as it is right now, so that is less than 3 days of treatment. Now I could compromise and go down to 10, it's not a big problem. He does state that the quality of this one here equals between 1 gram equals between 5 and 10 grams of IV, which is very promising. But because that's how much it is, I have to go to 10 grams a day. So that's only 3 days treatment for 1,250 baht. That's a lot of money, especially when you got to keep on doing it every day. You don't have a break. But now I'm contemplating buying one of them just to see in my microscope how that looks like, because now we're getting to the core of my problem. I got my microscope and I took a look at it. First off, I bought just one of those student microscopes, very cheap ones. I think it was 1,500 baht for a microscope, but then added another 1,000 baht, and then I had the camera function so I can see what's in it. And I succeeded one single time to have something that seems to be liposomes. But other than that, I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried, and I just could not find maybe 1 or 2 liposomes in the pictures. That's all, if I could find anything. So when I have this pictures I'm showing on the screen showing this much liposomes as far as I can tell, and then continually before that and after that not being able to produce a single picture showing it, I'm like, it must be my microscope or my way of using the microscope that does it, because you can't have that from the same batch big a difference. Nonetheless, it has me inspired to buy one of these made in the factory and then see how that works. But I have to contemplate also to invest in a proper microscope. It reminds me of back in the days when I was doing roller skating. I thought it looked fancy, I thought it looked good, but I didn't want to spend all the money that it cost to buy a proper pair of skaters. So I went to a toy shop and I bought a pair of skaters for, I don't know, probably $10. And I tried them out for like 2 weeks, broke my elbow because they were very terrible. It was extremely painful to use them, and I never really got going because it was just pure plastic. And then eventually I tried my brother-in-law, he had some K2s, and I went skating for them on a parking lot, and in about 1 hour I learned more than I did in 2 weeks on the toy skates. And I realized, well, you just have to go the whole 9 yards. If you want to do something about it, you got to go the whole way. You just can't compromise and say, let's see before I spend the money. Because you're only going to spend the money, it's just basically zero if you're buying garbage to start with. And this microscope is rated as a student microscope, and it came with 5 glasses pre-glued with certain samples. There was like a leg of a fly, there were samples of some wood, and they were glued onto it, so I couldn't remove it, and I had no sample glass coming along with that, so it was clearly, and they didn't have a scalpel, it was just plastic, so it was just look-alike. So yeah, it's not the best way to look at things. So if I want a reliable result, I have to have a reliable gear, but I got to figure out how to get the money for that, because they're not cheap. So anyway, the professor in this field of area says, no, you can't make liposomes at home. I think I have, as the picture shows, but I could only find one out of a lot of attempts. So what's going on there, I'm not sure. I'm just thinking the microscope is not very good. So I'm going to give it much more thorough look today. But I have my hopes up very high for it. I'm really thinking that's going to make a huge difference. I'm looking so much forward to see what's happening next. The changes that I also had to my protocol, you just got to take that as a little add-on to this video, is I've added a black seed oil. I've got capsules. They are 1,000 milligram each, and I take 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. So that's a new add-on. I have increased my what's it called now? Melatonin. From, it was 520 milligrams to 620 milligrams. So it's 20% up. It's not much. I just felt like doing it. And so I've been on that for almost a month before I had my last PSA, but it takes time before things really works. So let's see what that's going to make of a difference next time. My wife asked me the other day if all the effort I put into the RSO actually is paying off, because nothing is budging. Like I said, I think in the last video, my PSA the 22nd of January this year was at 86, and the 21st of July, 6 months later, I'm at 85. So it's basically not budging. But as I said to my wife, if I had done nothing, if I just leaned back, waited for things to happen, with a PSA in August at 124, I was bound to have a significantly higher PSA. So the fact that I'm 30% down means that something is working. I don't know, and I can't put my finger on what it is that is working, because I'm doing many different things. But I suspect that the RSO is working. If it doesn't work for much else, then I suppose it works because it also has the properties of lowering anxiety. So I'm not worried too much, and that's my nature, not to worry much. But I suppose that the cannabis might also help in that aspect. So yeah, we gotta see how that's come up. Until next time, stay happy and healthy.